Hey guys, Sniffhow here, and since we got so much downtime, I figured I'd help you guys out and give you another deck tech. This one's a pretty cheeky one, Knights of the Black Rose. I kind of like this guy a lot. I've been talking about building this one for a long time. Finally got kicked in the ass, finally did it. I'm a huge fan of it, but I didn't want to just make it kind of, obvious, black, white, good stuff. So I kind of messed this one up a little bit, and I kind of did a little sub-Knight Tribal in there. So we'll get into that one real quick. But let's go over Black Rose. 5 mana, 4/4. When he enters the battlefield, become the Monarch. Monarch is a big deal in our lovely PDH studio. It's really just a great in PDH in general. Probably should be in every deck, every color that can run it. But this one's a little better because if someone becomes a Monarch, and I was a Monarch at the beginning of that turn, they lose 2 life and I gain 2. So this is kind of all about keeping the Monarch, and when they take it, or if they take it, they're getting punished for it anyway. Because I have plenty of ways I could just, switch off. Like, I'll flicker him. We'll get into the flickers too. But letting them swing at me, they take the damage, I gain some life, and then flickering him so they don't actually end up drawing. Pretty good. Pretty rude too, so there's definitely some lines of play we can get into here. So let's just go ahead and jump into some of the obvious stuff of the format. You got your Relic and your Nihil Spellbomb. A lot of Grave Hates out here. These are just always good to have. Nihil's great for all black decks because you can just cycle it, draw a card. It's all good. Relic should be in every deck because even if there's no Grave Hate, it's still good later on. These are always going to hurt somebody. Maybe yourself, but probably not going to happen too often in this deck. Let's go ahead and get into some ramp now. You got your Mind Stone. Great card. Great early on. Great later on when you just want to sack it and draw a card. It's in a lot of decks. I mean, I can't see this not being almost stable. Like, obviously, some decks don't need it. Some decks draw well enough. And Knights kind of does draw a fair share of cards. Very good at holding the Monarch, getting the Monarch as soon as possible. But even still, Mind Stone's good because it's a 2-mana rock that does something later on. A lot of 2-mana rocks don't do anything. They're like Orzhov Signet. I kind of like this card. It's good for mana fixing. And when I get over to the land base of the deck, you'll see why it's a little better because I have a lot of colorless ones. But like I said, it's good. It's 2-mana rock. 2-mana rocks are always good. But I'm not running too many of them, just these 2 because he's 5 mana. You want to, like, if you have a 4 mana in general, 2-mana rocks are insane, but these are still good. Uh-oh. Walking Atlas. This is kind of a pet card, I want to say. I haven't really put it in many decks, but I'm quite a fan of it being in this deck. Because you draw for Monarch, you get a card. Let's say you get another crappy land, as Eric usually does. He always gets his lands. Walking Atlas, just go ahead and drop your land for turn on someone else's turn. That's pretty decent. But I don't know. He's not an artifact, which is weird to me. He's a construct. He's a 1/1. So I hate 1/buts, but he's only 2 mana. It's at the end of the world. I do love dropping, like, any land is good. I was gonna say dropping a value land like a Radiant Fountain to a Dead Swing, a Kabiri Crossroads, but any land is good for him. So that's why he's in here. Then we got our 3-mana ones. Pristine Talisman, staple of the format. Orazki Relic, staple of the format. Commander Sphere, staple of the format. You see how it keeps going? They're all great cards. Pristine Talisman is good for a specific card I run in my deck. I'll show later on when I get to the sort of the meaty good cards of the deck. But I mean, gaining life every turn is very good. It does add up, and I have seen plenty of games end at like 1 or 2 life, and they had a pristine, so that's how they did it. Orazki Relic, get Ascend really easily in this deck. You just sack it, draw a card, gain 3 life. Commander Spirit, best card, best rock of the format, I would say. Another 3-mana one, Orzhov Cluestone. Card's cool. I should probably replace this with the Locket, Orzhov Locket, because drawing more cards is always good. Drawing 1 card is like, okay, cool, it pays for itself, but I don't know. Drawing 2 cards, you're doing a little better, just a little more expensive, but it's fine. We got a Sisay's Ring. I am a huge fan of this card as well. This one's probably not the best for this deck, but I kind of like it. It's not the best because he doesn't have like any mana sinks on him, but Sisay's Ring is great for every other card in this deck. I feel like you want to stay ahead, you want to get as much mana as possible, and then do your stuff. Because this deck has a lot of spells in it, and this helps pay for them. I mean, it's 4 mana, 2/2 or 2 mana, so it's pretty good. Another 4 mana boy, Scare Tiller, one of my favorite cards of the format. The common Crucible of Worlds. Since I have so much draw just for Monarch alone, there are plenty of times where I can just even take the land from hand with him. It doesn't really happen too often, but it can happen. But obviously I have some, fetch lands, some other good stuff, like a bunch of cycles. So I have plenty of lands in the graveyard as well. He's good, plays for himself. I always keep hands with him in him. Let's get into some draw now. This deck doesn't have too much draw because Monarch is so powerful at drawing anyway. So let's go ahead and get some standard ones. Sign in Blood, 2 mana, draw 2, lose 2 life. Easy money. I'll take that all day, every day. Great card. Almost a black staple. Read the Bones, another black staple. Scry 2, draw 2, and then lose 2. Pretty incredible. Pretty incredible stuff. I love scrying. And I think I mention it in every single video. Scrying is one of my favorite things to do in this format because there are a lot of times where I just get boned by lands. Prevents that. Survival Cache. This one's not too good, but I have so much ways. I have a lot of mana. Not mana. I have a lot of life all the time. So I'm usually going to have more life than people. Rebound, so I get to do it twice. Very good. It pays for itself, especially if you do it once. And it goes along well with another card I run in the deck later on. So life gain. Life in Mind. In multiplayer, this card is unbeatable. Everyone discards a card and you draw 3. That seems pretty good. Obviously, it gets worse the longer the game goes on. Like, casting this for 4 when you're 1v1ing somebody. Not the best, but it's still good. I don't think I'm ever sad to see this card, except when the game is about ending on turn 4, but that doesn't happen too often here. So that's all I draw. Like I said, I don't have too much draw. So I'll go ahead and get into some standard good cards of the deck. Actually, let's just go ahead and get into the kill spells. Ob's Cruelty. Card's great. That's a better murder in some scenarios. Sometimes you can't kill a big boy, but like -5/-5 is huge, and it exiles too. Like, get out. Card's nasty. Just nasty. Speaking of nasty, Unmake. Another very nasty card. I think this card is why white-black is really good combo. Removing anything from the game is pretty nuts. Or any creature, sorry. But in this deck, it's not really hard to get all 3 of your colors, so you can pay for this pretty easily. Unless you get really screwed with your lands, but hopefully it doesn't happen. It usually happens to me, so it probably won't happen to you. But really good removal spell. Probably one of the best in the format. Victim of Night. I run this card almost all my decks, or any deck that's black, I think. I was like, it usually is going to hose something. You're usually not going to target stuff that it can't target anyway, so you're good. It kills all the problem cards of this format, so I think this card's great. Like, the only card this doesn't kill is Grey Merchant, but sometimes you don't want to kill Grey Merchant. Sometimes Grey Merchant's better on the field than the graveyard. Renflesh, another one of my favorites, I think. There's not many spirits in this format. No one has a spirit tribal deck built yet. I mean, it's coming soon, but not yet. It's instant speed. Instant speed's always the best, especially for kill spells. Oblivion Ring. Remove any permanent from the game. Target non-land permanent. Another great card. There's like ways you can stack it too. So you blow up this. Also, the triggers on the stack. You get rid of their stuff. Sleeves, they can't ever get it back. Or maybe I'm thinking of someone else, but it's pretty much. I mean, it's just a good removal spell. It's gonna get rid of what you need it to. It gets rid of any problem generals. They can just cast it again though, but getting rid of it for a turn is always good. Oblivion Ring is just a great card. So that is 5 kill spells in this deck. Yeah, I run 5 kill spells in this deck, which is pretty good. Because I'm usually, drawing for Monarch. You can have them in your hand, and then you just kill somebody if they're threatening you. But also in that regard, Dawn Charm. Nothing like a regenerating creature. Counters a target spell that targets you, so no more fireballs, or it's a fog. I think for the most part, this gets cast for the fog the most. But I have definitely seen it be cast in response to a Mana Geyser fireball, which is insane. Definitely hurts. But let's say you don't have this card, just run a Lapse. Lapse is great. Lapse always makes people salty. Counter target spell, if it gets countered, it gets right on top of their library instead of the graveyard, which is pretty good for some scenarios, like doing this to a Grey Merchant, so it doesn't end up in the graveyard so they can get it back with some other degenerate means. It just goes on top of the deck. I mean, buying you a turn is life and death in this format sometimes. And If you can't take care of it, hopefully someone else at the table will. So I think Lapse is a great card, and really no one ever expects it. I think it's so good because no one expects it. I think I'm about to start running Manatide in some decks just to really catch some nerds off guard. So those are all the generic good cards, good spells of the deck. Let's go ahead and just get into some generic good creatures and other enchantments and stuff. Throne Ward. I originally didn't have this in the deck, but like I don't know why I wouldn't, because this card's sick. At the beginning of your end step, if I'm the Monarch, which I usually am, he gets a +1/+1 counter. So if he sticks around for a couple turns, he's getting huge, and like that art is sick too. Going through this deck tech though, I have noticed I'm not running the other Monarch card at common. If I'm the Monarch, everyone loses a life and I gain life or something like that. I really need to be. I think that's a good thing I'm doing these deck techs. I also didn't realize I wasn't running Commander Sphere in the beginning, but I fixed that. But tech needs some work. I'm a huge fan of it though. So he's good. Crashing Drawbridge. This might be a cut. I'm not too sure. When I look at this deck, I don't really see that many creatures, or at least that many like big blowout creatures that you want to swing with that same turn. But I mean, it's also kind of night themed, I guess. They're in a castle. There's a big wall, letting all the knights out. I like it. 0/4 defender, creature gain haste. I mean, that's just a great card, really. Probably should just be in this deck automatically. But I think it's going to be a cut if I see another good knight come out soon. Aura Fracture. I have not put this in any deck except for this one, because I feel like I'm so good at getting all my lands, getting all my land drops, having just a buttload of mana, that I think it's fine to run this. Sometimes there are enchantments you just need to get rid of. And this card is pretty good because it just sticks on the field and you do it whenever you want. Like, no one's going to try and screw you with a Temporal Isolation, a Lignify, or something like that. This card's just going to get it. Let's go ahead and get some more. Thorn of Black Rose. I am not running Palace Sentinels because it doesn't really do much. Thorn of Black Rose does do a lot, though. 1/3 Death Touch. And you become the Monarch. So let's say like he gets countered once or twice and he's just way too expensive to cast. Like, that one's good because you still want Monarch. You don't always want them to have it. You want to predominantly have it as much as you can. Thorn of Black Rose is the best one, too, of the Monarch cycle. I'm a huge fan of Canal Courier because it's essentially unblockable, but it's a blue one, and blue doesn't need the Monarch as much. But Thorn is the best. Ward-Eye Witch. I think I talked about this in my other video. I'm a huge fan of this card. When another creature or himself dies, you scry one. I mean, I say it in every video, like I said before. Like, scrying's so good in this format. I'm a huge fan of him. Should be in more decks. 3 mana, 3/2. It's not bad at all. Good stats. Let's talk about the most annoying card in this deck. Coalition Honor Guard. When an opponent pays a spell or ability that can target a flag bearer, they have to target this one. This means people aren't going to want to waste their kill spells on a flag bearer, but they also can't throw their auras onto anything but him, which is really annoying. This Coalition Honor Guard like slogs the game up so hard. And it's just beautiful. 4 mana, 2/4, unkillable. So they have to use a kill spell on it. Otherwise, no one's dying to Fireball. Coalition Honor Guard is dying to Fireball. Huge fan of this card. Should be in more decks, but I'm glad it's not because I can't deal with it. Let's go ahead and get into some flicker effects and whatnot. Before I do that, though, let's get into Heliod's Pilgrim. This card's great. I actually have 6 targets for it in the deck. We'll go over in a second. But like back to the flickering part. Like flickering, this is good because there's so many targets for it. You're always going to get something, get what you need at the time. 3 mana, 1/2. Get an aura from your deck. Like that's just great. Probably be in more decks, but there's like a line. Like if you have 3 auras, it's probably not worth it. 4 is good. 5 is great. I think 6 is more than enough to run this, make it viable. Let's just go ahead and get a good start. Sentinel's Eye. You're probably not going to get this one with her, ever, but it's probably decent. I don't know. 1/1 Vigilance. If you get it once, you just keep getting it forever. That's always good because Escape is so cheap on it. I was blown away when I saw this card, and I haven't really seen it in any decks yet. So I'm hoping I get to see some action with it in this. I'm hoping Knights of the Black Rose gets hit on the randomizer soon. Reprobation loses all abilities and is a coward with base power 0 and 1. Card's great. You can either just use this as a get rid of ability effect, or you can just use it to ping something, let it die to it because it's a 1, but great card. This is probably one of the most annoying cards in the format. Temporal Isolation. Card's been around for a while. Card's ruined a lot of games. It's played in almost every white deck in this house. In our meta at least. It gives can creature shadow. Not many things deal with shadow, but it also prevents all damage. Like, this is just efficient removal because they're never gonna be able to block and get rid of it. They're never gonna be able to do damage with it. I mean, makes them unblockable. Sure. Doesn't do anything else. Dreadful Apathy. Can creature can't attack or block. Another Theros card. Pretty excited for this one. And it's 2 colorless and a white to exile enchant creature, which is great. Cast it. Like if they're threatening to get rid of this, you just exile it in response and they're good to go. Pentarch Ward. Gives them protection. Always good. Giving the Knight of Black Rose protection from a problem color like black or red. Always good. Or blue, because they don't want to get bounced. And you draw a card too. It's always good. Like, this is usually the line you want to take with Helight's Pilgrim. Either Pentarch Ward or Temporal Isolation. They're both really good to get. Space Fetters is also really good to get, but it is 4 mana. But it pays for itself, man. 4 mana, you gain 4. Enchant any permanent too. That's why it's the best. Enchant like a land, you can't activate it at all. Oh wait, no, you can. The artifacts, that's what I was thinking of. But this card's great. Great on a creature. Great on a permanent. Card's insane. So after all that, let's go ahead and get into some flicker effects now. I run 4 flicker effects, and there's as you've seen so far, there's a decent amount of payoffs for them. But Otherworldly Journey. This card's sweet. Exile target creature. Next end step, you get a 1/1 counter on it. Like, that's good on your general. That's good on someone else's stuff. You just want to get rid of it for that turn. I mean, this card is great, man. It's good if you want to, help somebody else out, which I kind of like with flickers. You can't do it like this is the main one that you can flicker other people's stuff, and I get used every so often. Pretty good blowout too when that happens. I'll give your test pilot a counter on them. Cloud Shift, probably the weakest of the flickers. Doesn't do too much. I mean, it literally just flickers. That's all it is. Ephemerate is the adult version of it. Growing up, the bad boy. It rebounds, you just do it again. We'll get into some more, but there are some good payoffs for it. Some great cards to flicker. Acrobatic Maneuver. This is another good flicker, but it's a little more expensive, but it draws a card. Card's nasty, man. I think I've lost this card like 2 or 3 times. Kind of sick of it. Shut up. I'm going. White Mane Lion. Card's cool. 2 mana, 2/2. Turn creature, you control its owner's hand. It's not the best. It's not really a flicker effect, but you can just save your creature or bounce himself if you want another creature on the battlefield for some reason. Not too many uses that way, but he's cool. Getting back, anything you need at that time is good. Saving it from a kill spell is good too. Ivory Giant. I originally put this in because the suspend was 1, and I was thinking like, well, I have so many cards in hand, I can just suspend cheaply and then just bide my time until it comes out. And but it's pulled some work, man. Tapping all 9 white creatures is great because not many people run white decks here. Like 2 or 3 who love white decks, but he's great. He'll tap some of my stuff occasionally, but not too often. This doesn't get tapped, and it just gets in there. Good for that. Our Core Cartographer. I love flickering this one. Like my favorite one in the white ETB deck, Aganjo Freeriders. Just doing this, flickering him, getting all the planes out of your deck. Pretty sweet. 4 mana is a little rough, but he's worth it. Custody Squire, another great one. This one really depends on if people want to help you or not, because you can get, artifact, creature, or enchantment, and somehow, if it ever gets tied, you get all of them. But that one usually never gets tied. Oh, man. 5 mana, 3/3 flyer, and it has the benefit of getting whatever you need back. Or you can just flicker it and force them to give you whatever you want. Keep going through the list. Stonehorn Dignitary. This is a foreign language one, but he is a real card. He's a 4 mana, 1/4, and when he enters a battlefield, target opponent skips their next combat phase. That's pretty nasty stuff, man. For decks that just have to attack, have to get all their damage in, like he's just gonna stop you. Especially if you can flicker him multiple times a turn, or multiple times a game. Like they just can't recover. Like he's game breaking sometimes, and just completely swings the favor to you. Let's go ahead and get to some. I got some like little equipments and whatnot. Not too many. Explorer scope. Like I said, I have a big problem with drawing Monarch all the time. This makes it so that if the card, or drawing lands all the time, so if the card on top of my deck is a land, this helps out in that regard. It's probably cut so like a better little kind of ramp thing comes along, but I like it. It's definitely pulled some work in plenty of games before. True Faith Sensor. Vigilance is huge. He's also a knight, so he does get the bonus from it. Not too relevant, but it does happen. True Faith's good for Vigilance. Shining Armor. This card's weird. I don't know really why it has flash on it. I guess if you want to protect the butt, because it gives +2/0 in Vigilance. But if you're swinging and then you flash it in, like you've already lost your chance for Vigilance, so you're just gonna get tapped anyway. It should have said untap target creature and then do all that. But this one's cool because it gets auto-equipped to a knight, which is usually him. And we'll get into some knights. But I like it. It's a good card. It's a little expensive for the second part, but Vigilance is so good in this format, it's gonna be worth it. Strider Harness, same deal. This card's great. Being in most decks, I think, at this point. Just giving something haste and +1/+1 is always relevant. And just usually this is a prime target to get rid of. Because people hate haste. Let's go ahead and get in some knights now. I got a decent amount. Not too many, I think like 9. Just go ahead and get into this one. This is a suspend one again, because this is how I originally want to do it. Modern Horizons, great set. When he enters the battlefield, he doesn't pump himself. That's my biggest problem with him. Other creatures get +1/+1. Like, come on. Give him a 4/4. Or at least, like, pick him up a little bit more or something. I don't know. That's a spend 5. He's awesome. Pumps the boys. Speaking of pumping the boys, we also got Inspiring Captain. Another 3/3. This one's for 4 only. And it happens the turn he comes out. You know, he's cool. I'm just a huge fan of pumps. I don't have like too many go wide strategies, but I have enough, so it's good. Lost Legion, 3 mana, 2/3, and when enters you scry 2. That's cool. I mean, I've already said it like 4 times in the video. Scrying's great. I don't want to keep beating it over your head, but it's there. Cabal Paladin. This is probably the least scary deck he's in, because he's in like 3 other decks and they're horrifying when they cast him. But he'll do some damage because I have a lot of artifacts in here. But he's definitely not a problem like he is in like Contraband Kingpin, Sludge Strider. In those decks he's killing on sight. Here he's like, he's a 4/2. He might do 2 damage eventually. Aquaine Paladin, this one's pretty bad. 4 mana. It actually has menace. I actually kind of like it. 4 mana, if you pay all black with it, it turns into a 4/3 menace. It's sweet. Otherwise it's just a 3/2 menace. Not the best. Not horrible. I've seen better. A few worse. A regular cohort. It doesn't really count, but it is a knight. Makes it 2/2 when it enters, so it just doubles up. Good for doing what you need. Flickering him is great too, because you just keep building your board. Lonesome Unicorn. You use it for the rider in need. It's also a good curve too. Drop your 2 mana rock, play this, do something else. I don't know. It's cool. It's sweet. The art on it is incredible too. And then you just adventure, get a 3/3 Vigilance Unicorn. Sweet stuff. Ardenvale Tactician, same thing. 2 mana instant speed, tap 2 target creatures, and then 3 mana 2/3 flyer. It's a knight also. And the art is also great on that one too. So the payoff for all this is Smitten Swordmaster. 1 mana, you gain X life, and each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of knights you control. I mean, at best, if I have everything out, they're going to lose like 9 or 10, but that's a dream scenario. Probably won't happen too often. I'm a little butthurt because I do not have the storybook version of this one. The storybook version of this is my favorite of all of them. If I could pull it up on the screen, I would, but it's absolutely beautiful. But he's also 2 mana, 2/1 lifelink. He's cool. He's whatever. If there was like, he's good with White Mane Lion, because you play him, you use him, play him, White Mane Lion, get him back to your hand, just play it again. Little stuff like that. We're just about done here, but we got a decent amount left. Let's go ahead and get into the little combos and good cards of this deck. Grey Merchant. He works with every flicker in the deck. He's disgusting. I hate Gray Merchant. He ends way more games than he ever should. Card's nuts. Flickeringman's insane. And this deck is pretty good at getting a lot of, or not a lot, but a decent amount of devotion. Gray Merchant's insane. We already know it. This is the card I was talking about earlier, Epicure Blood. As you've seen, there are a lot of like little small life gain increments in this deck, and he's good because he's going to grind them out hard, especially with Knights too. Like if I have these two out on the field, like, and someone swings at you, the table's going to get mad at him because they're the one hurting the table, not you. To work alongside him though, we have Scholar of Athreos. Another mana sink. This one's great because you just gain a bunch of life with it. They lose more. It just keeps going. Grasping Thrall. This one's pretty good to flicker. 5 mana, 3/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, does 2 damage to each opponent, and I gain 2. I'm a huge fan of this card. I'm not a huge fan of the flavor text, but the card is pretty sweet. Answered Prayers. Card's good because I can flicker other creatures and it'll activate, and I just keep gaining life with it, which keeps triggering Epicure. The card's sick. I wish I could tutor for it in every game. The card's so annoying to deal with. Trespass's Curse. Great card. Hoses some decks just terribly. Like some decks can't recover from it. Some decks don't care about it, and it's fine. Good against combo. It's good against big go wide decks, and it's just a good card because it keeps you above the curve. This is the grindiest card in the deck, probably. Ill-Gotten Inheritance. You know, it's good. It's just throw it on the field, forget about it, let it do its work. It'll take care of business eventually. Then you can sack it later on if you don't need it. Great card. Falkenrath Noble, another great card. 4 mana, 2/2 flyer. When it or any creature dies, target player loses 1, I gain 1, which is just nasty, especially with Epicure. Like you're not going to have these often. But this card's just sick on its own. It's pretty much a black staple. Still can't believe it's a common, but it is. So that's about all the actual cards of the deck. Let's just go ahead and jump into the lands. This deck has the most non-basic lands out of all my decks. So we're just going to try and go through it quick. Esper Panorama, that's good. Get a plains or a swamp you need. Take care of it. Good. I should be running Panoramas, and not Panoramas, the Evolving Wild and Terramorphic Expanse, but I'm not. This deck has a lot of tap lands though, so it's fine. Radiant Fountain, gaining 2 life. A lot of small incremental life gain here. It's all good. We've been through this. Open Palace, Forge of Heroes. Making the Knight of the Black Rose bigger is incredible. Huge fan of it. It just always works out, especially this late game. On a Fengraf. This card is in a lot of decks. It still should be. I'm a huge fan of it, but I just lost the game because I didn't realize I could have activated it. So that's on me. But this card's great. Always good. Huge fan of it. 3 Crossroads, gaining some more life. I love it. Then there's tap. That's a problem, but it's whatever. There's a lot of ways to get around it. Sandstone Bridge, +1/+1 in Vigilance. Vigilance is really good in this format. Vigilance is really good in this deck, so they're in there. Let's go ahead and Idyllic Range and Witch's Cottage. These ones are a little harder to pull off because there's so many non-basics in this deck. But like, I mean, if you get them off, they're good. This one can probably just be cut just for another planes. It's fine because you don't want to always enter tapped. But if it does work, you get a counter on something. And this one, you put a creature back on top of your deck. Always good. Very good cards. They're still working their way in the format. Let's get into some Cycle lands. Polluted Mire. Barren Moor. Secluded Steppe. Desert of the True. Desert of the Glorified. I love Cycle lands. They're great with Scare Tiller. They're just great in general. Forsaken Sanctuary. Scoured Barrens. Orzhov Guildgate. Orzhov Basilica. These are all the dual colored ones you can get in this game. This deck isn't running a command tower for some reason. Oh god, I just realized that. That sucks. So that's another. See, I'm glad I'm doing these deck techs because now I can figure out what's wrong with these decks, and I'll get right on that eventually. After this, great cards. And I'm running 8 swamps and 8 plains. Well, that is Knights of the Black Rose. I hope you liked it. I think it's a great deck. I think some of our viewers think so as well. I feel like it has a good win percentage. I feel like it's played a couple games and usually it's always the second place or just gets hated off the board. which is good. But it gives Monarch into the game, so everyone loves it. I love it. Great time. Hope you enjoy this video. We've got a lot more coming. Take it easy.